Okay, here's what we have going on here. Right now, number one, the car's on and the fan's on low, so it really doesn't bother us. So let's go ahead and cut this off. Go ahead and power this back up. So now we have AC, had the fan going. Maybe able to hear that. Not bad yet. So now you can hear that moan. There's like a vibration. When you're going down the road, you can hear it. The closer you are over here, I'm mic'd up, so you may not be hearing it, but it's definitely a sound that just gets on your nerves, and you shouldn't be listening to it, especially in a nice car, right? And again, the more we crank up, the more we can hear it. Okay, if I can make a couple of recommendations for this job, I would highly recommend them all. Air filters, in-cabin air filters. They are OEM style air filters. They're built really, really well, German engineering, and you can see it in the make of all their stuff. Something else that you can get this off of Amazon, and this is some stainless screen. We're gonna need that because I believe what's wrong with the blower motor, it's not really the blower motor, but it's something going on in the housing. We're gonna need some of this. I believe this was, I don't know, 10 or 12 bucks on Amazon. Some stainless screen, so it's never gonna rust or anything like that, and it's easy to cut. And then some AC media filter. Now you don't have to go out on this. This is just some regular old, if you have a filter supply house in your local community, a local town, city, whatever, I highly recommend. By the way, you can buy these for your house too. I mean, in a couple of bucks a piece and change them out every month. You don't have to buy pre-made filters, if you will. They'll cut you a metal housing and you just replace this media once a month and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so back to us. We're going to actually be cutting this down using this and this screen to kind of fix what's going on with the OEM airbox. Do yourself a favor here with this job and put your head on the hood or have somebody hold it for you. Pop this clip out on the strut. Clip can stay on there. Tuck it down here. And get these struts out of your way so that you can lift this hood up in service position. The opposite side, just as easy. And FYI, I've got a piece of PVC pipe. It's like between 44 and 45 inches long, and it goes perfect from the strut tower up to the latch to hold it. I'm gonna do it on the driver's side so it's out of our way. So now we've got a lot more area here to work to get that blower motor out. That hood's not gonna be in our way. That 2 minutes will save you a ton of time and grief. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is remove these few clips, 3 specifically. Slide under the head, pull them out. They're 2 separate pieces, but it should pull the pin up and then pull the body out. Just like that. And then this, you can pull this rubber out of the way. It's really not in the way, and then just pull that out. This kind of clips onto this brace right here, but it's not on there very hard. These are going to be 15 millimeters. Remove this strut brace. So one thing you may notice is that this has been into before, and that's because I've been into it before and actually put it all back together because I found some better ways to do this. You know, some of this may look new or clean, and that's because, again, I've taken it apart, put it back together, and now changed my mind on how to do this. So from here, we need to get this cap off and move it out of the way. There's a couple of ways you can do this. You do not have to take these 4 T25s off, which, by the way, I've heard many people talk about doing this job and talking about T20 fasteners. These are not T20 fasteners. These are T25 fasteners. So the T25 is going to fit in there much better than a T20. Will a T20 do it? Yes. You're going to take a risk of stripping it. Anyway, so to take this whole box out of the way, you don't have to take the lid off to unplug all these wires. All we have to do is take this T25 off right here. This is the smaller headed one here right here. And now all I have to do is lift up a little and slide this out. There's 2 pegs right here that slide into those holes back there. And you can probably get by with just kind of pulling this out of the way, hooking a bungee to it or something, or just kind of letting it flop there. However, if you don't have your hood in the service position, or if for some reason this main power wire here is too tight, you can take this lid off, and with the 10mm you can remove that, but just make sure you protect it because I believe it does have power running to it. And just to show you, we'll go ahead and pull this lid off and just back them out. They'll stay in place. This will be your 10mm nut. So just lift this straight up. It pulls out, and I take a little piece of rubber hose and slide it over there, and that kind of protects it. Now I can set that out of the way, and this will give us more room. And by the way, you could put that lid back on it too if you wanted to. And now when we pull this out of the way, now it stays out of the way. Now we want to take this, what I'm going to call the hat, off, and there are 4 fasteners. There's a T25 back here in the back corner. Kind of a pain to get to, but I can show you how. There's another one back here in this corner. Then there's one right down here. This deep down in there you need to get to. And then there's one here on the front corner, right here by this sensor. Just 4 T25 fasteners. I would recommend having either a magnet or some long needle nose pliers to be able to capture these screws when you break them free. And something that helps is like a 90-degree for your impact driver or nut driver, however you're getting these. And you can see I can kind of feed through that hole right there onto that T25 fastener. And I can back that out, carefully get it so I don't drop it. Switched out to a longer bit. I can go right through this hole, or you could just kind of offset. And again, carefully grab that screw. This is one that you can easily lose here. Grab it with my magnet. And the last one's right here. And now, just carefully and by the way, you'll have a plug right here, over on this side over here. Just press that button right there. Press it right there and it will release. And that hat should come off of there. By the way, you'll have an old filter here that's probably coming apart. Now your main power wire right here, before you take any of these screws out, you just squeeze 2 tabs right here. And that should pull out. And by the way, this should be clipped to this housing. But squeeze those 2 tabs, pull that main power wire out. And you shouldn't have to unplug anything else except right over here. Just push the tab, pull this out, and that should stay right there. And you're going to have 3 more T25 fasteners. One that's going to be right here, and it's kind of down in this dish. One that's back here down in the dish. And then one that is right down here. And it's going to be the bigger headed T25 fasteners. These smaller ones you do not have to detach until you get this on the bench and take it apart. Okay, the front one here. And by the way, you can leave the screws in there. Just back them out till the threads are out. And there's the 3 screws. Again, your wire should be unclipped from here, and your main power wire should be unclipped. And with that hood in the service position, you can take that whole thing out. With it not in the service position, you could fight this thing like crazy, and this would be in the way. You'd be stressing everything, but now you're ready to take this apart. So this wire should go in this clip here. This wire should be in that clip right there. Okay, so here's the air box as it comes out in one unit. Your fan motor, the blower is actually contained in here. These are your damper doors. Be careful with those. Don't move them around if you don't have to. Kind of clean them up. Just just kind of spot clean them if you can. If they're really dirty, I may just kind of come around here and kind of brush things off, if you will. And this is basically kind of the hat, the blower hat, and this is the filter material that is supposed to be covering this whole thing. So now you see what we're going to do with this screen and this filter material. You can buy this. You can buy an updated version of this that comes with new filter material on it, and it's not supposed to do this anymore. But I'm anticipating that this is all inside the blower motor, and that's where our sound is coming from. Very common on these series of BMWs. Hopefully they don't have this anymore, that they've upgraded it to the new hat. But I think the new hat may cost $100+, something like that. I'm not sure. But anyway, we're going to cut some screen, put that on there, put some filter material on there, and put this thing back together. First, we're going to clean this out. And we're going to do that by removing, again, these T20 screws. There's 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And now this should be able to lift off. Yeah, it probably still wants to stay connected because of this cable here. You can buy a little bit of, oh wow. Okay, let's see what's going on here. This should lift off now. Yeah, you may have to unclip that. Wow, so I figured this would be loaded with this stuff here, and maybe it's already deteriorated, but definitely we can see where a lot of the sound was coming from, that's for sure. Okay, this was pretty self-explanatory. I just took a piece of cardboard. It was actually off the filter box and made me a little template. And by the way, it ended up being purely rectangle, 3 7/8 inches by 9 5/8 inches. I'm just going to take this stainless mesh and just going to have to force it in here and have it kind of extend over these sides here. Probably put some hot glue, or either you could just take a soldering iron or something and melt the plastic like it actually came. But these little teeth here, it needs to kind of tuck behind. So that might be kind of a pain to do, but we'll see. I was able to get the cardboard that way, but I think I'm going to have to trim these little corners here. Just going to crease this on the edges here, and that should be good until we get that hot glued in. And that shouldn't be going anywhere now. That hot glue is behind it, gluing it on, and then some dabs on the outside that kind of should bond one another together. And then basically just take our filter media and tuck that in here as well. You may want to oversize your media just a touch, because you can just kind of, cram it in there. But all the movement's going to be trying to pull that in, and that screen is keeping it from coming in. And you just want to make sure that you have all your gaps covered up. And that should do absolutely fine. And that should not come apart. And even if it does, then our screen will catch it. So this wire should go in this clip here. This wire should be in that clip right there. Should keep that out of the way while you feed this in. And keep in mind, all these tabs need to go inside that dish. I'm calling it a dish, a bowl, whatever. And just so you don't forget, go ahead and plug this wire in. Plug your main blower wire in. And now again, these screws are already in place. And I would recommend, before you set this hat down, go ahead and plug this in, or get it close anyway, and go ahead and plug it in. Kind of a pain to get to otherwise. And that's basically your air sensor, senses whether you've got gases trying to come in the cabin or not. And once it gets past these wires, it should sit down right in place. Let me give you a little tip here. Take a little piece of plastic, be a plastic baggie. It could be a piece of tape if you wanted it to be, but I like just a piece of plastic. and put it between your screw and your Torx bit, and that's going to hold it in place. So you can get it down there. Fish out your piece of plastic, use it again. And remember to hook up our main power wire here. And remember, these two tabs just shove in there, and then this last screw right here. Our strut brace on. And we'll put our cover on. Just remember on this cover, this right here is supposed to go inside this little thing right here. Sometimes it's a pain to get on there, but if you take your time, you should be able to do it without it becoming deformed like it has where somebody missed it the last time. And these you just push in and then push the heads in. And that should clip on the brace. Feed our gasket back on. Took our PVC off, and now we'll feed our struts back on and we're good. And now our fan is on high. No crazy noises, nothing loud. Working perfectly.